Mm. All right, welcome. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Omi Show. I am Omi Bell, and I'm here with my co-host Cope. And we are gonna so we're going to attempt to be live every Thursday. Every Thursday at 3:30 is PST. Okay, that's gonna be our goal. However, what you should do is just subscribe so you never miss a live. You miss a live, you miss a lot. So I'm gonna say never, just always be ready. If you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. And the way to stay ready is to go ahead and subscribe, like, follow me at Omi Bell, follow Cope at Cope Connects. If you're watching on LinkedIn, just search. What's your name on LinkedIn?
It's Chinadu and Nekwe, but they can find me at Coke Connects. It's the same LinkedIn /in /Coke Connect.
Oh, okay, nice. Oh, fancy. You got your own little URL there. So I don't think I edited mine. Or maybe I did and make it say Omi Bell. Not sure. Whatever. Well, it's a lot to talk about. Okay. I'm tired. I don't know
Mhm.
about you, but I'm out here raising my behind off, okay, trying to get this money in for Black Girl Venture. So, by the way, blackgirlventures.org, go and donate today. Y'all can me say that several times. I know you fundraising too, right?
Yeah, I'm fundraising for lots of companies that I'm working with, all in the creative technology space. So I'm talking, knocking on the same doors, talking to the same people, talking about the same stories that I understand. So it's good.
I'm optimistic though.
Yeah,
So,
this
so,
is
cause
weird.
yeah, okay, wait. I don't know if I'm optimistic in the same way you optimistic. You Lucchini falling from the sky optimistic. I'm not exactly saying that I'm fully Lucchini falling from the sky optimistic, but I'm curious. Like, so you think this is good? Well, you know what? You may not be wrong. Let's get into it. Why do you feel like this is gonna be a big money year?
Well, I think that in 2024, there was a lot of cash on the people's balance sheet because they were worried about the election and they didn't know where they were going to put their money. 2025, people were trying to position, but a little bit hedging their bet because of Trump's sort of tariffs and all of these things. But the policies are in place. A lot of the money that is on the sideline is trying to put itself to work. And they believe in the big, beautiful bill providing economic opportunities. They believe that AI is going to have this economic growth vehicle. So people are now cycling out of those AI stocks that were the super cycle last year and looking to place bets. And so I think there's a lot of risk on behavior that is going on in the investor class. And not only that, a lot of these people, they just feel like 2025 didn't get them what they wanted. They want to be more exposed to growth. So that's what I'm picking up, right? So it's ramping up once there's a little bit more wins. There was a lot of AI wins last year. So I'm feeling like people are playing with the house money from 2025. That's what the sentiment feels like to me. And I want to make sure I channel that into the the founders that I know before people get a little too spend happy in other places.
Okay, so what's interesting about this is I think what's happening with the tariffs
Hmm.
now. I'm starting to catch the game.
Hmm.
Okay, Trump, I see you. I see what you're doing here. You gonna tout that we're gonna have a tariff issue, make the markets tank. Let me tell y'all something. When the markets go down next time, let's start buying.
Hmm.
Because we know in a day or two, they're gonna go right back up. Here's the thing too, he's doing it almost so blatant. This is what happened when the first tariff conversation happened. It's like it's right in front of us. It's like, oh yeah, well, boom, I'm gonna make this move. And here's the thing I think about this time though. That press conference that he did, that long drawn out press conference that he did. In the
Okay.
end, when he was answering the questions, he was playing with the media a little bit, and he was kind of playing with the idea of what he was gonna do. When he was like, "Oh, I think they'll be very pleased." I'm
Hmm.
like, "Oh, you knew the whole time you was about to pull that narrative back in a certain way. Like, oh, I think they'll be very pleased with us." Like, okay,
Trump
markets tank.
Trump's negotiating position is his negotiating style is to do maximalist and then you have to be at the table, and then you have to negotiate with him. He doesn't care about the consequences of how it looks. He cares about the consequences of what he gets. So if you look at
Mm.
are of what he's gotten, it's not something that was really far from what the treaty that existed from the 1950s with America and Denmark actually provided in Greenland. But what it feels like to him is that he actually has a win that other people will accept as his win, as opposed to a previous treaty. And that's what he wanted. That's what he got. And Greenland really isn't like any far different than what it was. Like the bases, the Iron Dome, all of that stuff is crap. But I'm happy that at least he can feel like a win. And I've seen a lot of the pundits come on and they feel like it's a win and they're celebrating.
The business people feel like it's a win.
I'm happy that idiots feel like they've won when they didn't do anything. It's like seeing some kids play with like fake money and they're acting like they won something when they have the money in their hand, and you're like, it's not real, but it's okay. It doesn't affect me really. So
But wait, you were saying earlier you were kind of on the fence about talking about the Greenland thing, like
yeah, I
talking
was
about it
really
at
worried.
all. But why?
I was worried because let's say the escalation did happen. He wasn't being a maximalist negotiator. He decided to enter into a war. In the precursors to war, if you start seeming like you're not patriotic, people are going to hold that against you after the war begins, right? And then if the war begins and you can be anti-war, that's not a problem. But look at the environment we're in. If you're anti-war in a moment where there's there's ICE agents on the street picking up people of color. Doesn't matter who they are if they're citizens. And then you have the border patrol preventing people with funny names from coming in the country, checking your social media. You're really at risk if you start using your First Amendment rights to talk about what's going on with this president. I have cousins in the UK that are UK citizens, and they are scared of they not scared. They refuse to come to the United States and visit because they're scared of providing the United States their social media. So those are like my family members, direct blood members. So like these for myself, it seeps into my head about what am I at risk for just by what may happen in the future. So I was scared about Greenland, what might happen. What is the latitude of patriotism? Is patriotism fighting for the Constitution, or can it be temporarily fighting for Donald Trump? And if you're not on Donald Trump's side, you're not on America's side, then you get they've been deporting US citizens too. So anything can happen.
I mean, listen, I'm carrying around my own passport right now. I'm carrying around my passport and my daughter's passport everywhere we go because I'm like, I don't know what the hell might happen out here. I don't know, you know what I mean? And we blackity black as black they come. But like it's real crazy. ICE now seemingly they're saying like ICE has they now can like burst into people's homes.
Yeah, I mean,
Like why is all this necessary? But anyway, wait, I want to go back to something you said for a second. I'm watching the conversations happening at Davos. I'm
mhm.
watching people go sort of like somewhat interview and then go offline. Like it's almost like they're only saying things to a certain limit. Because a lot of, for one, the business owners, the corporations, they stand to benefit from the moves that Trump is making. Right.
Yeah.
And it would be one thing if they benefited and it benefited the rest of us. And I'm not saying that none of them will, but like, it's like, because did you hear the one guy who was, I cannot think right now, it's escaping me. I'm gonna have to look it up. But the one guy saying that, about how business owners are like, yes, they got, things that were stopped under the Biden administration are now being allowed under the Trump administration. And he was talking about how, like Spirit Airlines and JetBlue merger, that was stopped under the Biden merger. Under the Biden
Mhm.
administration, and now Spirit is in bankruptcy. And he was just saying how glad the business owners are. And I don't know the business owners, what business owners he referring to, but well, we do know what business owners he referring to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I mean, think about I think a lot of people are going to be upset if Spirit Airlines goes out of business. Like Spirit Airlines has a really loyal customer following in terms of and what it would do for the consumer. But I agree with you in just generally businesses are really happy about this. And when they talk about the GDP, they being the government talked about the GDP growing at 4 or 5%. But you look at jobs not growing in that same sort of clip. What they're excited about is corporations making more money, but not sharing more money.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Did you also the CEO of Anthropic made an
Mhm.
interesting comment that I was like, whoa, if he's thinking that. So Anthropic is a company that makes Claude AI. First of all, let me say this. Claude, in my opinion, is better than ChatGPT. If you're only using ChatGPT, actually, let me not say that because I might need OpenAI one of these days. But I love them all. Okay. But I
Mhm.
think that like I use ChatGPT regularly. ChatGPT is very friendly. It's very complimentary to you.
Mhm.
Claude and Gemini is very cold to you. So like
Mhm.
Gemini is great, but it's a little cold. Like it literally isn't. It feels like an advanced Google search.
Yeah.
But Claude sits in the middle. It does so great for like storytelling, but it's also not going to necessarily feed your ego, but it's also not cold. So like I'm finding myself like messing around, like working with different kinds of AI to do different kinds of things, of course. And then a lot of times I'm getting my prompting from them to prompt the other one. So hey, give me a prompt. Hey, Chat GPT, give me a prompt for Claude. Hey, Claude, give me a prompt for Jet. Like I'm doing that back and forth. Hey, give me a prompt for Nano Banana so I can create this image. That's where we're going in the world. But anyway, the CEO of Anthropic was saying that like he is excited about AI, but also has concerns. And one of the concerns he noted was if like, some Silicon Valley tech people decide to create this like dystopian society of their own, like a small country of like
Mhm.
dystopian people where they are pretty much the ones like that are like conscious and in control, but everybody else is walking around in sort of this days. And I was like, oh my God, that's so interesting. So okay, I'm gonna say radical thing you had me thinking about. I don't even know if I should say this out loud because somebody might but I'm like, I don't know if I should tell people this what I'm thinking because this is a radical thought.
Mhm.
So my thought is, so him thinking that, he knows that something like that can happen.
Can or
So
is happening.
right. So I'm thinking, how do we as black folks
Mhm.
create our like not dystopian, but how do we create what would it look like? What would it look like to create a world where, and I'm gonna say this is gonna sound radical. You can come back at me on this, where black people don't have to rely on white people.
Wow. Wow. Um, that's
We're
an
so
interesting.
intertwined. So let me say that, like all of us are so intertwined. There's no, but I think like when we start talking about blackness and we start talking about how like, well, why don't black people own their own banks? Well, why don't black people this? Well, why don't black people control any money? Black, 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 black. We always asking all these questions, but the way I just said it, the way I articulate it, sounds more harsh
Mhm.
because it brings in a reality that like there is a reliance on each other to survive. And this is why it's like it's worth it for all of us to thrive together as people. But when we start like comparing black community to other communities, we really start looking at how independent those communities can be from general white America. Right? I mean, you let me know. You chime in. Let me know what you think.
I'm with you, but then I'm also in this space where there's so many layers to what enables autonomy that I don't believe people can be autonomous, right? Like if you're going to live in a modern society, you need power, right? To an extent, you might need that means you need silicon, that means you need lithium. You're going to have to at least involve yourself in trade, even if you can produce. even if you can make those things and manufacture them yourself, you're going to need other people to sell you those things, right? At a price that you can sustain as a community. So I think that there's always going to be intercommunalism, right? Even if it's not this
And
level of.
wait, I want to be clear that I think there should be,
No, I
right?
get
So
it.
I think, yeah. I don't want to paint the picture that I'm trying to say that we need to create another. This is just me hypothesizing and thinking, if the CEO of a major AI company right now, a company that owns a major AI that everybody's using, if he thinks that a group of people in Silicon Valley, tech people, could create like a whole society of dystopian people, or a dystopian society, that actually must be possible, right? So I get what you're saying in terms of like we're
We
gonna
want
need
to get into
chips.
tin hat conspiracy theories. Let me involve you in one of mine that I believe. Now, I fundamentally believe that it is a zero. There's more than a 0% chance that AGI exists, right? Right. So it's not zero. It will exist in the future. And then I have a
What you mean agentic? When you say
yeah,
AGI, what are you talking about?
like artificial general intelligence, right? So there will be a sentient computer, right? I also believe there's a non-0% chance that time travel is possible, right? So essentially, I'm talking about the Terminator, right?
Okay, so
But
you
mhm,
believe that it's a chance. Okay, by the way, y'all, now we're going into conspiracy theories, both of us.
mhm,
You believe there's a chance that time travel is possible, and you believe that there is a chance that there
mhm.
is a Terminator type figure that can exist.
Yeah. So if you
Okay,
add those,
okay, I'm with you.
if you add these two non-zero chances together, the risk of them actually existing simultaneously is greater than the risk of not treating it as if it's real, right? The risk that there's artificial general intelligence that is acting today to make sure that it exists by having sent some being or some code to the past to make sure that we make sure it exists. And so there's that one thing. And then based on what you're talking about, let me tell you why it even reminded me of this thought. There is a possibility, and what I really think is going to happen is that there's going to be government contractors that are going to create military robots, and those military robots are going to, I wouldn't call it enslave, but um, empower governments and non-state actors to use military robots to control other people, to control groups. Now, it's enough for people to have guns. If people have these robots that are more powerful than us and they start to have artificial general intelligence, even if that artificial general intelligence is controlled and not rogue, that world that may exist, that the people who can afford robots, that can afford the artificial general intelligence subscription, are going to control the people who don't. Because what are you going to do when a robot comes up to you, right? You're going to hopefully unplug it, but if you can't unplug it, you're it's a there's a challenge of that's the world that we're approaching. We're approaching a place where capitalism gets to a place where there's people who have the capital and then there's people who don't have the capital that will be controlled by those that do in a physical way, not just in a threat of physical violence, but it's in a there's a watcher that's sitting on every block. Like if you hear Elon Musk talk about these Optimus robots that he's building, his vision is there's going to be millions of them. There's going to be millions of them all over the place. Who's going to control them? Is it only going to be based on subscription, or is it going to be based on whatever happens? So, and it's going to be people with money that get to do these things. And I think that to me is a part of my disaster theory of I got to get my money up. I got to have my own robot.
That part, and I think like, how can you not have that level of anxiety? I need to have my own robot. I need to get my money up. Like,
Mhm.
you can't. I mean, even it's crazy because that level of anxiety of like, I need to get my money up is so real, even outside of just like AI,
Mhm.
because you just, I mean, well, with all these things bubbling, you're so like, if I don't have my money up, what am I gonna do when the stuff hits? Where am I gonna go? I can't. Can you afford to get into the space where the people are that got the money? So to your, okay. So going back to the people who don't have the money
Mhm.
controlling the people. I'm sorry, the people who have the money control the people who do have the money. Aren't we already there?
Yeah, but there's like an object reality of that, like where you don't even feel it, and there's another one where you do feel it. It's similar to once they put up the barrier of a $15,000 bond for every non-Europe, basically every non-European country to come into America. Think about what that means. That means someone can't travel out of the country. Americans can travel outside of the country almost visa free without $15,000 bond. But people who want to come to America need to have a $15,000 bond. How many Americans travel outside the country with $15,000 in their bank account? It's already become like this world. And then when you add robots on top, like think of the border patrolled by robots. Where are we going? Right? Like that's
And there's a lot of assumptions that is being made on the part of the U.S. government in a sense that so like what are they gonna start feeling or doing to Americans when they go to other countries? Like are we now gonna be safe in other, like if we are treating people who come to our country a certain way, are we gonna be safe when we go to other people's countries?
safe. Are we going to have to pay? That's what I'm wondering because there's a lot of reciprocal sort of visa treatment that occurs, right? And I think for the first 6 months, we're going to probably see a lot of countries just behave in the same way of like trying to resolve them being on the list and not being on the list. But then you're going to have a lot of nationalist countries that are going to start to say, if you charge our citizens $15,000, we're going to charge you $15,000. And in fact, you guys can't pay it at your country. You have to land and pay the $15,000 bond because we want to sell you the $15,000 bond insurance. You got to pay for it from our country. It's going to result in a lot of ridiculous results. But I imagine this is going to happen because it's like Brazil did the same thing to America. America raises its visa fees, Brazil raises its visa fees. There's a lot of folks that are, I would call them middle powers. That's what Mark Carney from Canada started to say this at the World Economic Forum, that middle powers need to band together. I don't know what that means. I don't know what countries fall under this middle power nature, but I imagine that if Canada starts creating roadblocks for Americans, a lot of other countries like Canada are going to start creating roadblocks in various ways. One of my good friends who was in America for a lot of years working on Capitol Hill, he just got his startup funded in Canada, a neoprime. Have you heard of this term neoprime?
Mm-mm, what's that?
There's this big trend of new prime contractors to the government that are based on technologies that are the new technology. So not the Northrop Grummans and the Lockheed Martins, but the Andurils and the new technology platforms that basically work with sensors and are better at building out this lattice work of new technologies that work with the government. What's interesting about this is Nigeria just had a neoprime got funded by one of the PayPal acolytes, Joe Lonsdale, and then Justin this week. That was 2 weeks ago, and then this week another neoprime got some startup funding. The reason why I'm bringing this up is it's a space to watch, and with 8A being removed, I don't know if you know 8A, but there's this the only, I believe, the small business opportunities within the federal government, especially in the defense contractor space, is going to be in this neo prime sector. If we can get, we as people of color, we as minorities, start to try to be the head of the game in this neo prime space, then there will be opportunities where 8A, which is a government program that required the federal government to have small contractors, especially diverse contractors, get 10% of any contract that was awarded. Now there's going to be, without that in place, there's going to be this: how are minority groups going to stay ahead or even participate. And I'm suggesting that this neo-prime nature is really going to be one of the spaces of a blue ocean where we might be able to lead or participate where we haven't historically been able to be the primes of these things. So I'm looking for, I would love to connect with any black neoprimes that are building.
If you're out there and you're
Yeah,
a neo prime, we would
mhm.
love, yeah, Cope
It
would
would be
love to
good to
connect
talk
with
to
you.
you, see what you're dealing with.
It's interesting. I mean, so I was talking to somebody earlier and I was saying like I am looking for the opportunities right now.
Hmm.
Because what is sort of like the cracks in the in the rock that you could build a cave in? Like
Hmm.
I think that those kinds of things are going to be so to your point like this neoprime piece. It's there and it needs to be there and it's there because of what's happening. I think that's the thing in chaotic times industry will be created. So did you hear that Warner Brothers just signed a deal with an indie film group from Neon? Called they were former executives from Neon, and
Hmm.
they just signed it. They're doing it. They're looking at doing smaller budget films,
Hmm.
indie films. So this is interesting. It's not vertical dramas either, by the way.
Okay.
This is interesting in thinking about the fact that like, okay, all the news, not news. I mean, I don't know if people know or not, but like vertical dramas are coming. Like vertical dramas are gonna be the thing. I also heard. I gotta look this up. Though. I want to fact check it. But I heard that TikTok launched this vertical drama platform. Let me actually look at that.
Yeah.
You
Same.
they did. You saw that?
Yeah, I heard the same. I think, I mean, but it wouldn't be far off for TikTok to do it. They are a Chinese owned platform and
True.
not primarily owned in the US as that, but I'm sure that they can channel a lot of the Chinese micro dramas that are trying to customize because they're built usually using AI. So I'm pretty sure they're going to try to customize it for the American audience.
So, okay, here we go. TikTok has quietly released a new standalone short drama app called Pine Drama in the US and Brazil. The app offers access to micro dramas, which are essentially bite sized TV shows that can be watched in a series of 1 minute episodes. So, think about TikTok, but every video you come across is a short episode of a fictional story. Pine Drama, Pine Drama, is available on iOS and Android. It's free and currently ad free, though it said it could change. It's absolutely gonna change. You can you can find content through the app's Discover tab, where you can sort through all or trending dramas through endless vertical recommendations that are tailored to you. I want to know like how do you get started on it? So like, can you actually upload your own? It doesn't say that.
You know, I think
Um,
one of the interesting parts is what's the economic, what you're saying about the Warner Brothers deal and everything else. It's basically what we're talking about is what is the new business model in media? How are people trying to make money? And you shared something with me earlier this week that talked about, you know, while people haven't figured out how to make money, it's the best time to go into it because people are going to throw money at it, right? And about vertical dramas, and same thing when it comes to new indie movies. With the Rip coming out on Netflix, there's been a lot of talk from the the indie gods, which are Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and they were insanely successful in doing indies, from acting in them to producing them and things like that with Good Will Hunting and all their career. So when they spoke, people were listening about these indie films, and everyone's trying to figure out the business model. It's not the same. You can't sell cassette tapes. You can't sell these tickets. Basically, the usual mediums were selling physical items, right? Without physical items, how do digital items make money? And I think people are bearing with that across all forms of media. This is the space I'm investing in. Everybody is like, how do we, as the art, how do the artists make money? And with the art industry and culture driven content really being how people of color have really made a lot of money in America. You look at like 30% or 50% of the billionaires in the Black America, most of them came from the culture industry, right? So it is something that we should be thinking about specifically, how do we make sure that without selling merch, how do people monetize their creativity? But I don't know about the vertical videos and this new indie model of how you're going to make money. I still think you got to find a product to sell. I think you got to find something physical.
Well, I don't know. Okay, so it's interesting. From a business model standpoint, I think there's ads, right? Like, but how many? But for how many ads? Because see, like every time you have a platform that has eyeballs,
Hmm.
ads want to be there and a part of those eyeballs.
Yeah.
So I don't know in terms of like how do these vertical dramas make money? I think it's gonna have to be network the same way like a podcast network versus a podcast. And the reason why is because they're only a minute long. So you can't drop you don't even I would say dare say a 30-second commercial in the middle of you watching the multiple 1 minute clip films, 1 minute clips. It's just that doesn't work well. It's just you're just gonna get exhausted by it. You're not gonna want to look at it. You're not gonna want to return unless it's like really, really good. So I think that what I think is gonna be like ads over the entire network. So like you have a network of because it doesn't say whether or not like how do you upload the power and drama. It's not another YouTube. That's also what's interesting. So in the micro drama field, I'm not seeing it yet. At least I have to do some more deep diving. It's not YouTube for
Hmm.
short form cinematic content. It's not that. It's still very much a network, and you have to somehow get into it as a creator and then put your films up. I don't know what that process is like. So I think that's going to be interesting.
They're
But
working with studios. They're working with people who can
they
really,
work with real studios.
well, the level of studios that are doing this are not, essentially well funded studios, all of them. So, but it doesn't really require much, but it requires a lot of creativity, a lot of constant output. So they're working with people who have built back catalogs. So it's a time where it's kind of like when VR became really big with Meta, and Meta started to invest, and you could create a VR lab and people were just going to pay you for content development, regardless of there being people at the other end. That's the space we're in with vertical dramas. That if you show that you can produce content on a regular basis, people will fund you, not knowing how they're going to monetize. They're just going to fund you to license your content. So, if you can do that in a profitable way, it's smart. But ultimately, the currency. This is why I always, like you got to sell a product. I think ultimately the product is people are going to figure out what they can sell because think of Mr. Beast. He produces more eyeballs on his content than he could ever sell. His videos have hundreds of millions of viewers, and if you look at that, you can't sell all of those eyeballs to advertisers. They can't pay, right? Like based on what the term CPM or cost per mil is. If he has 100 million eyeballs and he does 10 videos or 5 videos a month at that 500 million level, he would be making billions of dollars. No one's paying for that, right? Like there's not enough money to pay. So I just think that what's going to happen is like what he did. He started selling
And he
Feastables.
started selling products. Yeah, he got beef jerky. He got what is it? The lunchable type things.
Yeah,
He's got a what is it? The drinks.
yeah.
So this is what's also interesting. Uh, is the route that we're talking about?
Hmm.
Is this because I think that like it was at one point it was like, oh, go be a startup. Can you
Hmm.
take a concept and then scale it, right? But then you take creativity and you scale it and then you cap out as to where people can give you money from an
Hmm.
industry standpoint, which is not what we look at when we look at tech scaling. When we look at tech, so it's like scaling a and person's brand versus scaling a tech company, right? So you look at an Uber, like you can't, there's no cap that needs to be on it because just as many people who want to drive, just as many people who want to ride,
Hmm.
you're going to always just be adapting drivers and riders, right? And let's see another tech platform I can think, or Meta or something like that, where everything is tech. It's different from if it's just everything is creativity. Like you're the creator. I think if you're the creator, yes, you have to look at the selling products because it's not going to be enough money to hold you. To your point, it's not going to be enough money to hold you in just pure entertainment. Those deals are supplemental. They're like side deals to what you could be getting. I wonder what he probably has this out somewhere. I wonder what his biggest like YouTube check was.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. But one of the things I, I started to believe, even though I support creatives to the beginning and end, but I started to think to myself, the reason why creators in the past 100 years started making tons of money because people started to replicate or reproduce their content and sell it as a physical product. Digitizing that physical product those has made content not as valuable, right? Like the theaters made it valuable, VHS made it valuable, DVDs, so did CDs, cassette tapes, all of those things. Without those mediums, it really doesn't cost as much to replicate your content so everyone can hear or so everyone can watch. So why should creators get paid the same amount that they were getting paid before? They shouldn't by itself because it's the right thing to do. It's not. It doesn't cost as much to replay their content, like to recreate it. So by that very nature, the industry is going to shrink in a way where it shrinks from the investable side, right? On the content, but it's not going to shrink on the investable side on artistry reaching many people and what you were talking about of the scaling. You can still scale people's reach through media in a way that's the same way that you could scale it before. It's actually cheaper and you can get broader reach than you could ever do. So the same dynamic exists of scale and replication, but you can't scale the money through the way you used to scale it. I think it has to be through product. And I just don't see how vertical dramas are going to drive product sales because of what you just mentioned. You can't really sneak too much ads into it. But if you look at just one example that's weird, ESPN. If you ever go to ESPN, they have 100 million people go to ESPN every day, right? But if you ever try to watch a video on ESPN, you're going to watch an ad first, right? Like they force you no matter what. Even sometimes you might watch 2 or 3 ads in a 30-second clip, right? So I don't know if vertical dramas become as catchy as ESPN sports clip content. I don't foresee that, but that's also I'm a 40-year-old man. Maybe I'm not doing what the kids are doing.
So I think that if there's an easy way to get into it from a creator standpoint, because right now it's going to be harsh on new voices. Like we're not going to see a lot of new voices when costs are tight. People
Mm-hmm.
run with who they know or who they think has a proven track record based off of what they know about them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I see the vertical, like the micro drama industry as a viable place for people to be thinking about, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't see people being able to get in on the same levels of distribution deals that celebrities are getting in on. And I think in that case, it's going to shift like how viable it seems. Like it
Mm-hmm.
seems viable now, but then you can't be new and get into it unless you know somebody to know somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think the
But
cost piece of it.
it might be like Vine. You remember how
That's what I'm.
Vine?
Yeah. I remember Vine, and they're supposed to be bringing Vine back. I wonder whatever happened to that. You
You
hear
never
about
know.
that?
Yeah, I heard about it coming back, but it reminds me of people saying that Sade was going to do a tour this year. People just getting their hopes up.
For no reason, because she clearly is not doing it. All right. Let me see. What other news? Oh, by the way, so state of emergency is declared in multiple states as a blizzard threatens to blanket 30 states and 200 million people. Okay, y'all, they are saying brace for the coldest storm ever. Is this not the like? I mean, maybe it's just me, but I
Hmm.
feel like the headlines get more and more extreme. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not gonna be a blizzard. I'm not saying you shouldn't be prepared. Go get food, get water, get ready. But the headlines are getting dramatic. You know what I mean?
But let me say, there's nothing. I used to love Snowmageddon. You remember Snowmageddon? I loved when I was in DC and it was like, hey, it's about to snow and they shutting everything down for 2 inches. You know what I mean? I used to love those moments, but uh, I do know that like people aren't getting their news from TV no more. So I think they have to have these headlines so that they can get their clips watched. Similar, they try to sell ads too. So they trying to get people to click on. They got some clickbait going too. So I don't know. Like I believe that they believe what they're saying is true. But let me tell you something. I don't. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody who's a meteorologist, but I went to a lot of school and I like grad school and all that type of stuff. I never met someone that was studying meteorology. So, I don't know if it's a really rare space or, I don't know how people get those degrees, to be honest with you.
I think I have met somebody that was studying to be a meteorologist. The reason why I'm laughing is because I actually think I have met one person in my life that was studying to be a meteorologist.
Really?
Meteorologist. I think so. But is there transferable things? I don't know. Speaking of people studying or not, Elizabeth Holmes. She asked Trump to let her out of prison early. Elizabeth Holmes, the disgraced Theranos CEO, asked President Donald Trump for an early release from prison after being convicted of defrauding investors, according to requests filed last year with the Justice Department. This story, in my opinion, still has some unpacking to do because I'm curious about whether or not, like, you look at like Adam Newman from WeWork, and you
Hmm.
look at her. Don't get me wrong; she was in the medical realm, which is like a lot more risk and really dangerous. But how was she defrauding? And maybe you can answer this for me. How was she defrauding investors more than he was?
So I'm not going to say that they have very different stories because if I say that I'm raising money on community adjusted EBITDA, so my financials are basically using new forms of calculations, and then I sell you stock. That's the same.
Okay.
That's what he did. Adam,
Okay.
she knowing things were false, sold stock. I think the ecosystem of America's investor protection wants to make sure that no one feels comfortable selling stock when they know things that they're selling are provably false. And she was doing that. And I think that's where it went to. So it's really about who she got involved with her name, with her company. Like she got big wigs, Henry Kissinger, all of these people, right? Like so, the money that she got involved from those people, I think that's what really drove it. Like there's always like a whip and stick, but it was a woman versus a man.
Oh God, don't say
Like,
that
that's,
part.
that
That's
that
the part.
that part.
That no, that part. And these people who like, I could like I don't want to be defrauded. I don't want to be defrauded. Like you can't just commit fraud on me. I'm
Mhm.
gonna get you. You know what I mean? Like, but I think I just am puzzled as where this story needs to be unpacked at some point, not today.
But you know
Is
the guy,
that
Nicola, the truck, the self-driving truck that he falsified whether it was actually self-driving because it was like kind of rolling down a hill. He was pardoned by this administration, the Trump administration. So if you're going to have some
wow?
fraudulent, and he was public, he had a publicly proven company. So if you're going to kind of commute the sentence of someone that defrauded someone because they were a fraud, there's just like no rules anymore. I don't know why one would be um, pardoned and another isn't. It's like, does Trump wake up on the right side of the bed today? You know, kind of thing. So I don't think that there's a reason.
Hmm. I don't think so either.
Why don't we just let out?
Um,
Why don't we just let out all the criminals, right? Like I thought we were trying to the criminals in jail, right, because of the immigrants. But how about we? I think the real goal is put all the immigrants in jail and put all the criminals that are, what do they call them? Heritage Americans. Let's bring them out, right? Whatever they did, they're great. They're not the second class citizens that immigrants are.
Mm.
That's what.
Yeah, I I don't know. I mean, did you did you hear about Nicki Minaj calling Don Lemon a homophobic slur that I won't repeat?
Oh, she did.
Well, here's what I say. She called him Don C sucking lemon
Wow.
in all caps.
Well, the thing
How
is, she
she
is.
called him a thug. How dare you? I want that thug in jail. He would never do anything like that to any other religion. Lock him up.
Oh, because Don Lemon went into the church and did like somewhat of an expose. I saw that, and I saw there was a lot of controversy, and I was wondering, has this is where Don Lemon has gone on one level, right? Like I like Don Lemon, but I never saw him do this. I never thought he would be doing this type of citizen journalism.
Mm-hmm.
But then Nicki Minaj has this spectacular way that she's kind of crafting this lane that she's crafting to basically eliminate all of her fan base. Like her core fan base is largely made up of a lot of the folks she's attacking. And I wonder what's going on with her. I really wish her the best because, you know, she was championing Nigerian Christians, right? So I have to support my, a person that's championing my people. But no, seriously, I really wonder what's going on. Where I really hope that it feels like a Kanye level sort of departure from character, right? So maybe it was always in her, but
Maybe it was always in her. And with that, what I think we would close out the show. Was there anything that you wanted to talk about though before we close out?
no, I think we definitely talked about the Greenland thing, and I wanted to talk about the neo primes, which we were able to talk about. So I'm happy that we got to cover a lot of the topics that we touched on.
Yeah, no, this was dope. Every Thursday, y'all, we're gonna attempt to be live at 3:30. That is the goal. Okay, so just make sure you subscribe. Also, follow me at Omi Bell. Follow Cope at Cope Connects. Look for me on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. If you're not watching on YouTube, go to YouTube and search for at the Omi Show and subscribe. And then if you're a SiriusXM subscriber, every Sunday at 11 a.m. you can listen to the show. And a lot of times it's not the same show. So we're not putting the content that was on the show on SiriusXM on YouTube. We're actually having an after party and then put it on YouTube. For this week, though, I'll have a guest with me. Her name is Christina Rumbly. She is a former pop star, and she started a wellness company, and now she started a podcast called Reinventing Rumbly, inappropriately appropriate. So that is really interesting. So we'll see. Donate to Black Girl
Right.
Ventures, Black Girl Ventures, blackgirlventures.org. We need you. Nobody's coming to save us, so we need to work together. What else I got? Oh, I do have a podcast, and I actually haven't talked about it publicly on here, but it's called Break Before You Break, and it's all about like wellness, and it is more of my own personal like confessional. So the episodes are about 5-10 minutes long, but it's me just my random thoughts on a random morning, but it's all centered around a topic. So you can search for that on Spotify, Spotify, Audible, or Apple Music, Apple Podcasts. I'm trying to think. It's all the places you can get podcasts from. Okay, and you can go check it out. And I'm just really giving my confessional every day. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. You got things coming up, Cope.
Yeah, we have game plan. LA is coming up during the All Star game, so that's coming up. You're going to see the handles, and you're going to see more information about that in the coming weeks. Um, we have a lot of. I have a fifth quarter event that's happening. That's a private network for people who are working with athletes to in their family office and production companies. We're going to have an event on in March, the first week of March. So doing a lot of events over the next couple of weeks. So I'm excited that I can invite everyone to join.
I love that.
Hmm.
Let's see. Black Girl Ventures, what we got coming up? We have a pull up and bitch competition coming up. Our applications for our fellowship program will be opening up soon. We got a new initiative that we're rolling out. Like lots of good news coming from Black Girl Ventures. So y'all stay tuned. Join the mailing list there too, blackgirlventures.org. You know, if they unsubscribe, they are not your tribe. Just remember that. So never be worried about anybody unsubscribing. Never be feeling like you're sending them too much. I'm sending out every single thing I'm working on. You can take it or leave it. Okay. So shout out to y'all. All right. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you next week.
All right, see you.